Good code limits the hello world to the area or the environment that I need to work in. Unless, of course, you want to actually move something off the screen. Then, of course, it's very handy to be able to move something beyond the parameters of the stage site. But in this particular case, I want to keep hello world within my particular environment here. So we need to play with our parameters for what we're looking at, the 0 to stage width and stage height. Now we could go through and just simply play with the numbers, make some guesstimates, say I want the X to start 30 pixels in and it needs to stop 30 pixels from the right hand side. For the height, I want it to start 10 pixels down and stage height minus, well, we know that the button is 75 up for the center of it, and it's also 25 or 50 pixels in width, so we need to be at least 100, maybe 110 pixels up. Now I'm just simply guesstimating here. That doesn't make this good code, and we need to save, and we can do a relaunch again. And now, as you, well, it's still going off the side, but it's doing a little bit better. So we could spend a lot of time playing with these numbers and to get it right. Now, that's not necessarily good programming. It can pass in a pinch, but I wouldn't call it good programming, and it's definitely not going to give you multiple device support. Obviously, the iPad has different resolution than the iPhone version 3 or 3GS. The iPhone version 4 has a different screen resolution than the Android, so each of these have different things. It would be better to let the system determine what is a good height and good width for keeping my hello world text on the screen. So let's go ahead and add that chunk of code. To accomplish this, I'm going to add two variables to my system, one that records the width and one that records the height of my hello world object, and that'll make it easier to do the calculations. So I'm going to create a local variable called W, which is going to store the width of my hello world object. And then we'll do the same for height, and I'll store that in the variable H. Now I have the width and height of my hello world text object created. And now I can make an adjustment to the function so that it properly allows for that width and height. Now we know that the X parameter looks at the middle of the object, so it's actually looking at about there on the actual hello world. So I need to consider the width and the height, or half of the width and half the height. So W divided by 2, and again subtracting W divided by 2, which will give me the middle of the object, or subtract the number of pixels that are appropriate so that it doesn't go off the screen to the left or to the right. And now let's do it for the Y parameter. And this is a little trickier here. We do have to take into account that I don't want the hello world to be behind the button. If I wasn't concerned about it appearing behind the button, I could just simply set it to minus H2, or height divided by 2. But I do want to take into account that this button goes 100 pixels up. There. So now it's going to look at the height of hello world and add 100 pixels to it to make sure that it is above the button. So now when I save my program, everything should keep it from going off the screen at any particular time. And as you can see, we seem to be pretty good. Only thing that I might want to adjust is that sometimes it does get up into the carrier area, so I might want to move it down just a few pixels, maybe 10 pixels, so that it doesn't cross over into that area. And now we should be just fine. So that's how we work with buttons. We've created an interactive event. We've learned how to create an event listener, and we've also used the relaunch to help us with troubleshooting and to get our program working the way we want it to work. So keep programming, and hopefully we'll have some very interesting little games ready to go in a very short amount of time.